In this video, I want to talk to you about parent-child pages. 90-Second Website Builder has the ability for you to create a hierarchy or a structure in your website called parent-child, and this is unique in web design. I want to talk to you about what that means and why or if you would ever use that feature. And you wouldn't necessarily, but there will be times when you may want to. So first of all, let's talk about site structure. I'm looking at a website example here where I have a certain structure in my website. By structure, we mean where the files are in the website, how they're nested, so to speak. So in other words, this particular website has an index page, as all of them should, and some other pages. Some are HTML, some are PHP. And then it has some folders that contain other files or folders. So in this case, I've got a folder called members that contains a folder called downloads that contains pages. Now, these are not parent-child pages. This is an actual website structure. That's normal. When this site publishes to the internet, it will actually create a folder called members and put a folder inside that folder called downloads and put the pages inside this directory. So these would be nested. An example of a parent-child page is something like this, where we have a web page that has another web page underneath it. Now, when this gets published, the website server, the web hosting account, will not nest these this way. There is only one reason for doing this, and it's for the design process only. These pages will all be at the same level as each other. You can't put a page inside a page, so to speak. This hierarchy that we're dealing with here, called parent and child, is purely for navigation purposes only, and it's optional. Let me tell you what I mean. Let's say I wanted to make a navigation bar. Now, I have one here that I'm working on, and I've got it the way I want. But let's say, just for the sake of this demonstration, instead of making my own structure for the navigation bar, I can actually tell 90-Second Website Builder to make the structure for me based on my site structure. So instead of having just 4 buttons like this, I can say I want the navigation to match up with what my structure is over here. Here's how we do that. I will double click on this menu item. It happens to be a CSS menu, but this applies to other navigation objects like the nav bar, etc. But you'll notice here I've just made 4 simple buttons. Well, instead of doing this, I can actually tell the software to create this navigation based on its synchronizing with the site manager. And I simply click this button. Now you'll notice as soon as I did, all of this is grayed out. I'm no longer able to edit this, and I'm no longer going to make these menu item decisions. The software is going to do it for me based on what's in my site manager. Now, if you change your mind, it's easy to just uncheck it and go back to what you're doing. But if this is the option you want, you would check this box, and then I'm going to click OK. And before I do, just watch what happens to the menu bar that I had on here. I'm going to click OK. You'll see that it changed significantly. In fact, what it did was it created a menu bar based on whatever information it could get from here. Let's talk about that. First of all, let me do an F5 so we can see what it did as far as the hierarchy goes. Remember, I had a page under some page. So when I hover over this, there's that other page that it is picking up. That's the purpose of a parent-child page. It's for design purposes only, for navigation purposes only. And so if I don't want to do this manually, then I can have it done this way. You'll also notice that because it's picking up everything it can from the site manager, it found a folder called members and made a button out of it, with a subfolder called downloads, with pages inside of it, index and info, as you can see in the structure. But you may be seeing some things that are a little bit confusing. You may be asking yourself, why is it calling all of these things index? Shouldn't these be called index, learn, contact? I can see where that's called members, but here's another index page. What's going on here? Why wouldn't this be called login? Because this one was called some page. Let me show you why that's happening. These labels are being picked up from each one of these pages in a unique way. I'm going to close this out so I can show you what's happening. So let's go to the learn page. I'm going to open this page up in the canvas by double clicking on it. Here I am on the learn page. Let me move the camera over so you can see we're working with the learn page here. I'm going to right click on this page and bring up the page properties and show you something that's true for every page in 90-Second Website Builder. Remember, we have a title. That's what we'll show in the browser, and we're going to want to change this to something more sensible than untitled page. It also has a file name, which is over here. This is the learn.html page, but you'll also notice it has a menu name. Now, this menu name only matters if I'm going to be using this synchronization feature. So whatever label gets picked up when synchronized is going to be whatever it says in the menu name. So if I wanted to change this to something like learn more with capital letters, click OK. Then when I have a menu that's synchronized, look what happened. I didn't even have to edit it. It's picking it up automatically from the site manager, and it picked up the menu name for this page. So this page, which is actually, although it's picking it up as index, it's really supposed to say contact. All I have to do is open up my contact page, and here we are in contact. I'm going to right click to go to its properties. You'll notice the menu name says index. If I change this to something like contact us, again, I'm only changing the menu name here, and I go back to my menu, you'll see that this synchronized menu is picking up what it says in the site manager and what those page properties happen to say. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what's happening here. Now, I'm not teaching you this to tell you that you always need to synchronize your menus, because you don't. In fact, I would even say most of the time you don't need to. There just comes a time when this is a very convenient resource for you, because if you have a complicated site structure with, say, a lot of pages and you want subpages or you want directories within directories, etc., once you have all of that designed and decided upon, then it's much easier just to have the software pick up the navigation for you. Because the other side of this is, if you don't want to synchronize, you would be doing all of this manually. You would make your own menu by deciding what you want to add, where you want to place these, and how you want to link them. And it can be slower to do it that way, although you have more control. So it depends on the application. I will most of the time manually make my own menus, my own navigation, because I want to have control over where everything is. However, there comes a time when it's just easier to have the software pick up the structure from the site manager. And when it does, that's when the parent-child pages come into play. A lot of people are confused about the parent-child thing because they think it matters in the site structure once it's on the host. But the parent-child relationship is really only about the design process, and it only affects the navigation. And that's what it means when you're adding a child page or adding a parent page. It's about making this hierarchy for navigation purposes only. And also remember, you can move files around in the site manager if you have something in a place you don't want it to be. So if for some reason I decided I don't want this to be a child page, I don't need this to be here, I can move things around. You can literally move them around. And if you go all the way up to the top, you can drop this into the same level, just like this. I just dropped it into the project icon that way. If I wanted it to have a parent page, then I would drop it into this page like this, and now I've created a parent-child relationship. Or go back to this and create a parent-child relationship. But again, to reiterate one final time, the only purpose you would ever do this is for navigation design purposes only. It will not affect how the pages are stored on your server or on your web hosting account. So anyway, that's just a kind of a quick synopsis and run through of what it means when we talk about pages that are parent pages and child pages in 90-Second Website Builder.